I was sitting over there. Okay. So, how's the sound? Pretty good? Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thanks to Peg. Can we give her a round of applause, please? It's very special to be here. Thank you also to Wendy, to Haldane, and for videotaping, and Wendy for being at the front door. And Susan, thank you for setting the stage. I don't know if that was intentional, but now I have to do less work. So, how many of you know the reference topaz? Okay, so Hugh?
It's one of the internment camps.
Yeah. Do you know where it is by any chance?
Is it Nevada?
Close. Utah. Yeah. So the book that I wrote is based on the history of my maternal family. And my mother was about 1 year old to 2 years old when she was incarcerated in Topaz. And my grandfather, I was telling Susan, is a Buddhist priest. And they were separated throughout the war. He was in Department of Justice camps and taken away by the FBI, similar to what you heard in Susan's story. And my mother and grandmother and aunts and uncles were in Topaz. So they were separated for about 2 to 3 years. So I'm going to read 2 poems tonight. And the first poem, I was thinking about the theme of sweet. And this is a little more oblique, but similar to what Susan did, which is when you're in a desert, how do you create sweetness? And it's based on a steamer trunk, which had topaz carved in the side that I saw in the family church where I used to be a caretaker. And so sort of like Keats' Ode to a Grecian Urn, but it's Camp Ode to a Steamer Trunk. The U is the steamer trunk, and some characters, my son Brendan, my wife Grace, my mother Renko, and then her father. It's called Steamer Trunk. You know us well, from Brendan teething in the church to my mother's fenced-in thirst, from the possibility of chocolate to the tinny taste of eel. Slow carrier of silver and sand, from distance and troubled time to us and our son Brendan, who in unknown sympathy wails on your lid, like his baby grandmother did in Topaz prison camp for her absent father. Makeshift crib built by his gloved hands, a wool blanket stapled as lining for your splintered wood skin. She quieted in you, calming to cricket song beyond barbed wire, her body sheltered by you from the cold that pushed through the cracks of the barrack door. Strong box of only what we can carry, my wife Grace towels off Brendan, and I set him down on his nursery floor, pry you open with a crowbar. We unload your bent tinware and brittle wicked candles set for meals of unagi from jagged lids of dusty cans on my mother's birthdays in Topaz, when her sisters, Nori and Taya, draped you with wrinkled lilac silk. Barrack heirloom table we squatted at, we sweep out and fill you with Brendan's iron clothes and toys. Between sips of bottled milk, he crawls up to touch your sides we wipe clean, tugs at your latch, temple chest of rusted sweetness. Also want to thank Jerry. Jerry, hand for her. She's over there selling books. Where's Jerry? She was so kind to hold on to books since December, and I love Book Passage, so please do support them as well in Corte Madera. I'm going to read a second and final poem, and this is so obvious in terms of sweetness. It's called Sugar. Wow. I don't need that. And the book also looks at the intersections of race and culture and history and gender, sexuality, identity. So I want to read you one poem that did that, because it's not just about camp, it's about the resonances between camp and the present day for the speaker. So this is called Sugar. Is this okay? Does this look weird? Is this okay? Okay. I actually prefer it like this. Okay, 1, Sweet is my grandfather who leans forward in his chair, squints at his plate. With clasped hands, he carves a sutra out of air. With a napkin, I wipe the steam from his glasses. Begin with this prayer, and if its chant is sweet, then listen for it while he tastes the blindness growing inside him like a field of snow peas, the green which flickers at the edges of his retinas. Between a row of pods where he knelt, he held them and snapped off the stems. One by one, they plinked his bucket of rust, so quiet, the same quiet of my chopsticks as their tips reach into the green accumulation. Pearl by pearl, I lift to his mouth. 2. Sweet jazz, I guess my ex-girlfriend is baby, honey, sweetheart, each variation a saxophone moan, while our flesh met on top of parking lots marked, do not enter. There are limits to a body, baby, honey, in bathroom stalls with flimsy locks, sweetheart, in love seats of theaters. If first love begins sweet as improvisation, then let the ending change, no longer her father's breath tinged with soju, as he pulls her from my arms and shoves her in the back seat. Let it change from the sound of his spilling coins to the sapphire triangles of her earrings, from the taste of burning tires into oleanders, dahlias, their perfumed fragrance. Let sugar dissolve the exhaust. 3. Not sweet, but bitter gruel mixed with a spoonful of sugar. Sit next to my grandmother, the rails of the bed containing her. Breath halts and flows in her river throat. The IV feeds her body of dreams. If I tell her damp bangs, she stares back, absent. So I open the book to its whispering of mahogany, cedar, and hemlock. This sutra is sugar. As long as it bathes her with my syllables, soothes her glottal stops. The clock sips from its frayed cord. I push the button that feeds her. The minutes are churned pages beneath the simple lamp on the simple stand. 4. Sweet is our dissolving. The young woman I loved leans her weight into an iron, steaming the wrinkles from muslin. In his shop, her father folds each sheet she finishes, her face moist from the sweat. I still see her cheek pressing against the sealed window of his car as he took her away. I will carry tulips down a long hallway and throw the petals into a chamber of stone. Something is sweet about the bones, my grandfather and grandmother burning on the other side of a latched door. I don't want desire, but it overtakes me. The way I move with her against her father's floor, and afterwards clean up my hairs from his rug. By the edge of the creek, there are words about the dead, the way our palms hold on to sugar, and the wind lets it go as ash.